A man getting bit by an alligator and he screams.
Okay, quiet.
Sit out, short me.
Ow! No, not an owl. A real scream of pain.
All right, this is the last day of the Oak Cliff Film Festival, and this is our last two-part driving while screaming.
It's a day for.
I feel like it's going to be a tough day.
I do feel like it's going to be a tough day as well.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of mumbling and tripping over words and
right. Yeah.
just general confusion.
Just in general, it feels like it's going to be a lot. And I mean, like I said, it's a day for rejoicing, but also a day for tears. Like, I'm sad that it's leaving, but fuck, it's. I don't know. I think it's also that it's in July, and I understand like they've got a lot of like. It's weird because we kind of bemoan Dallas-Fort Worth as not having a lot of opportunities, but we do. They're just, and when they happen, they're scattered about, right? So like, it's hard to. Like this, so they have to pick a date, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And being in the middle or the late June, early July is literally the worst time. And I know we're inside and we're in a darkened theater, but that place is not meant to hold hundreds and hundreds of people.
No.
Even though it can, the capacity is fine. The bottom theater is a 650 seat theater, so it's possible. It just gets to be a lot. And when both theaters are like packed on both sides of it. It's just,
and the lobby's not very big,
right?
And even if we do go up to like the special people lounge, it's pretty small.
And even for you, there's no respite, right? Because it's loud in there, and then when you leave, it's hot,
it's crowded,
right? There's no shade,
right?
Because you're on this like a concrete jungle out in Oak Cliff. So anyway, it's a great festival. Please come.
But you have to think
also,
that like
no one else does this like we do. To be quite honest, I mean,
there's very
few people that just sit here and like punish themselves for 4 days straight.
But again, I mean, I think this is part of what the festival going experience should be, especially I think for us, right, who consider whatever kind of media you want to consider us. I think we see it as our kind of job and responsibility to see as much as we can and talk about as much as we can,
right?
And if that means for a few days. Right, this is all we do, then so be it.
Right.
And you know what? Tomorrow I'll recover and it'll be fine.
Right.
But I mean, I just think that should be part of the thing. I don't think that if you're going to call yourself any kind of media or critic, you should be like, I'm only going to pick and choose.
Right.
You should go and try to understand the whole experience of a festival like this.
Right.
Especially, I think this level of festival, which we really appreciate, but is still a small to mid-level festival, right? And so going along with like the time of year this is, you have to imagine that the organizers are looking, where are we in the least amount of competition with other types of festivals? I mean, we had Cannes in May, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got, I mean, the fall festivals are huge, right?
Yeah.
You've got the New York Film Festival, you've got TIFF, right? You've got the super exclusive Telluride.
Right.
You've got all of those like in the fall. So you can't really have this.
Right.
I mean,
you're combating, and you've got to get out of South by, and also you need to have this after South by
because then you're close proximity wise.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't, again, and Fantastic Fest, although this is not Fantastic Fest, and I think Fantastic Fest has kind of grown beyond like what you and I would even consider trying to, because again, like it's so big and it's 2 weeks and it's just a different vibe, like where you can't get, again, like even if you get tickets, you can't get into screenings, which I think that's just not something that I'm overly interested in doing. It's like trying to hustle for every scrap
No.
that they trickle down to, if they would trickle down to us.
No, yeah, right. I mean, if we're going to try and hustle for something like that, I feel like it's going to be a different echelon.
Yeah.
And I think,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I think,
I'd rather be Sundance or TIFF. Or,
right. And I think, I mean, I know that a lot of cool stuff comes out of Fantastic Fest, but it's still a fairly genre-heavy thing.
It is. Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
And I would much rather have the kind of breadth of diversity that we get at a festival like this.
Right.
Where we might get some genre things, but really we're kind of all over.
Right.
So yeah,
but
we'll talk more about this later.
But what I want is like for Oak Cliff and Diff to like call up Sundance and say, hey, you should invite these guys out. you should send out a plane to have them come out and stay with you guys.
Not only should you invite them, you should pay for them because clearly these two are what's next.
Right.
These two aging white guys.
Right. We're on the cusp.
What's next? Along with their regular, podcasting, they do a thing called driving while screaming every day.
It's the craziest
thing. The festival. It is bizarre. And also, no one's done it before, ever.
And they've upped their game now where they're driving to and talking about what they're driving to the festival.
We decided to do it two-parters because we figured that we're not punishing everyone nearly enough.
so much content.
Our small but solid cadre of listeners. You guys should reach out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Come say hello.
Holler at us.
Drop us a line. Tell us what you're thinking. All right, so let's talk Sinners.
Right.
I don't know. You want to bring up the IMDb plot line of Sinners? So we saw Sinners back when we were doing Diff, which feels like if we've been listening, you think the Diff is still going on because
we're still posting interviews.
Well,
that's how many we did, though.
Right, but that's how much we worked Diff. I think is that we're the only ones talking about it still.
Do you think
3 months
people
later.
appreciated how much we worked during Diff?
I think the people that we talked to did.
No,
I think James probably does.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he doesn't listen or
he sees us. He sees us working.
Right.
Anyway, here's the Sinners logline. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Okay.
So this is the new
kind of
Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan flick. Film du
IMAX
jour.
flick.
Right. And we saw this in 70mm IMAX, so we saw it on film in IMAX, which...
The way God intended.
The way God, yes. And I would say, I know that sounds snobby, but if it were to ever come around again, which I think that it should, I think this should be, and this is what we talking about when we were at the theater, is that there should be staples of IMAX screenings that are not specific to something like Thunderbolts or Mission Impossible, which I know Mission Impossible had IMAX scenes in it, although I didn't see it in IMAX, but I know that there was. I know Final Destination, Bloodlines had IMAX specific scenes, and I'm fine for all of that, but I do think that if you're showing Lilo and Stitch or How to Train Your Dragon or and if they don't have anything that's specific, I think there should be good rotating IMAX films that are always kind of in play at those places.
Yeah.
And I think Sinners and things like Oppenheimer, there should be those types of films that utilize the format, because Sinners does it so well. Their moments, their IMAX moments in Sinners really makes me kind of reluctant to watch it on a computer screen, even though I want to go back and I have not.
I rewatched it at home.
Did you?
Yeah. And there's, it's a different vibe, obviously.
Right.
But it's one that you really, really feel. Right. I'm with you.
And if you haven't seen Sinners, rush out, stop listening, go see it right now.
Which pretty much I think everyone has.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm really glad that it did really well. Coogler is almost a home run hit every single time he's at bat. So it's weird, and I'm not saying even just film wise, but just from a perspective of just box office. He's kind of the James Cameron in that sense, where he's and he doesn't get Cameron type budgets, but it was weird that everyone was going how can we give him $80 million to make a vampire movie?
Right.
And then
and a black vampire.
right, which is the real narrative, right?
Right.
Is how can we give a black director who wants to own the rights to his own film? He's going to ruin Hollywood with this, and it's just that's obviously fucking nonsense.
Well, and there was a real kind of, how do I want to phrase this? I think the media narrative, the kind of corporate narrative, the studio narrative, the pushback against Coogler was almost accusing him of being uppity. Right,
yeah.
Right, and saying like, oh, who do you think you are that you can like do this, which is a ridiculous thing. I mean, and again, I think it even if it's not out and out racism, it's these like passive like microaggressions that just show the kind of racial bias.
Right.
I mean, still to this day, directors and even like the press after the opening weekend had these like racial coded headlines.
Well, the opening
like,
day is like how it didn't make $80 million the first second that it showed.
Sure, it
like,
did well, but
let's see if people will go see it tomorrow and see how it fares.
I mean, what a ridiculous headline, and like no other film is getting that headline, no matter what.
I know this is not Sinners talk, but I mean, when did we become so enamored with box office numbers? I know it's been a long time standing, but like, why do we continue that? Why do we allow ourselves to continue that thread of like, this film is good because people went and saw it, and this film sucked because people didn't go and see it?
Right.
And I know this is a ridiculous question to ask, but I don't understand, like, why do we immediately judge art on how commercially successful it is?
I mean,
that first thing out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
This is a good painting, but I don't know if anyone will buy it.
Right.
I mean, because we commodify everything. I mean, this is how we, again, right? Like, I mean, as we've talked about with like late stage capitalism, this is how we try to justify things as like, oh, it made money or people will buy it. And I think that's a ridiculous way to judge good or bad. And with all of these factors in terms of box office, right? I mean, as you just lamented, a couple days ago about not leaving things on screens long enough, not having enough screens open, or not finding more places to show these things. And how can you accurately judge box office anyway? Not every film is promoted the same way internationally either.
Right.
And there was a really interesting conversation about Sinners, and I forget the gentleman's name, but who was saying like, look, here's some data points that show that studios don't promote black films the way they promote other films, and he included Black Panther in that. So even like a Marvel film is not getting the same promotion, say in China or elsewhere, that like Captain America would.
Which is bonkers because Black Panther's $1 billion film.
Correct.
Right. I mean, and I think it's just this historical bias that these studios have. Oh, well, overseas they're not going to go see black films, which is patently false. I mean, it's just. But
also, if you don't give them the chance, they're definitely not going to go see it.
Right.
So, and this is the same argument with like. And I'm sort of making a leap in parallels here, but it's sort of the same argument with like women's sports. When you're like, well, no one watches women's sports. Like, well, you don't put it on TV.
Right. I can't possibly
like, if you
see
don't,
it.
like, and it's getting a lot better now, and you're seeing ratings that are just incredible. Right? I mean, like the recent numbers with the WNBA, are really impressive and really incredible. And you're like, oh, so if you give people the opportunity to watch these things, they will watch them. Like, so when you're trying to make that comparison of apples to apples, you can't, because they're not marketed the same way, right? They're not given the same opportunity. And it's the same thing with like the films.
So back to Sinners.
Yeah.
So Michael B. Jordan plays a pair of twins, the Smoke twins.
Smokestack twins.
Smokestack,
yeah.
Yes.
Whose real names are Elijah and something else with an E, and I forget. So.
Right. I forget too. And they ran in Capone's gang, and they were bootleggers and low-level like gangsters in Capone's gang in Chicago. We're led to believe that they ripped them off in some sense.
They ripped off both the Italians and the Irish.
Right. And then came back home to start up their own juke joint like they'd always wanted to do. And these guys are feared in town. This town is relatively integrated in a sense, but there's still like remnants of the Klan. That's not really hidden, but it's
right.
It's
underground and sort of in the background, right?
Right.
But I mean, this town is integrated, but I love how they show it kind of like split down the middle. Right. So like, on Main Street or wherever, you have this kind of, division on either side of the street. And there is some crossover, but not a lot.
Right. And so we watched them through the first part of the film set up their juke joint, like throw money around and get everything ready, get their musicians and their young cousin who's a guitar player.
He's incredible in this film, by the way.
He's amazing. The music in this film, which I'm sure we'll get to, is just brilliant. They find Delroy Lindo, who
also fucking amazing in this film.
He's so good. Like everyone really is.
Delroy Lindo with his these past couple big roles for him and Defy Bloods in this, Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy. And so they open up a juke joint and we get this feeling. Obviously, every white person they encounter is like treating them less than, if not actively being racist towards them. They're just kind of menacing, in a not so subtle way.
Right.
We also get this indigenous, which I think is a brilliant plot device. This indigenous group that's chasing this kind of unspoken evil that's going across the land. They come across and they try to warn these white people of not letting this into their house. And of course, this is the vampires that come up later in the movie. And of course, then that all kind of
right.
It all kind of comes to a head. We learned that Smoke, is it Smoke that's with what's her face, Haley
Steinfeld?
Steinfeld, yeah. Or is it Stack? I think it's Smoke that's with Haley, and then Stack is the one who has the young child that died.
I forget.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. They are different, and they are colored. Different. With one of them wearing more red, one wears more blue.
Right.
And their demeanors are different as well. But so Haley Steinfeld's character kind of is the only real white character who is accepted.
Right.
And that's because, what did she say? Her dad's mom? Or
yes, something like that. Yeah.
Somebody a couple generations back was black.
Right.
And so she's
and also her mother raised
helped
right. Yeah.
So it's not necessarily that she's passing in that it's not a kind of reverse passing, I guess, but there is a level of acceptance with her that there isn't with when the other three white people come walking up trying to get into the party.
Right. What I love about this, obviously there's moments in this film that are just jaw-dropping.
Oh my God!
And obviously the big one is the generational music scene, where the cousin is playing, and then we see all of these other groups of
past
people,
and future,
right, kind of come out. And the first time I saw that in IMAX, I was just I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
It's so, and that I think is something about this film that is just really, I don't know, virtuosic.
Yes,
is the technical filmmaking prowess.
Yes.
Just being able to construct a scene like that, to be able to film a scene like that, where you are meshing these generations of film, but the way the camera moves and just dips and kind of glides around is so incredible.
And just being in a theater with that sound dropping too is so powerful.
Musically, Coogler's incredible as well, right? The way he uses music in all his films is there's just not enough superlatives to really go around with some of what he does.
Because this is on the level of if you go back and analyze this as a quote unquote black film or a message film and kind of speaking to not only the Black experience, but the Asian American experience, the Indigenous experience,
right? Like the other experience,
right? The other
right?
experience,
Yeah.
right? And even Haley's experience in this sense of like having to deal with and like being able to walk the two lines, right?
Being accepted in both worlds, right?
Is really, really interesting. But also at its core, it's just a fucking good vampire movie.
Right. I mean, this is what we've talked about kind of like off mic before, is how this works on so many levels, right? There is the metaphor, the message, the touching on like current day politics and socioeconomic issues, the virtuosity of it all. But then, right, then we also get this incredible vampire movie.
And clearly he, watched From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, like, and I know this is not, and like there's like people telling us, ripping it off, this is ridiculous. I would think Tarantino would come to you and tell you that this is a better film than From Dusk Till Dawn.
Of course,
right?
Yes.
But that moment where they're all fighting and the let's eat scene in From Dusk Till Dawn is mimicked here.
Yeah.
But I also think that like, but also there's no messaging in From Dusk Till Dawn. That is it's just a grindhouse pulp film.
Right.
Tarantino and Rodriguez are not trying to say anything about the Hispanic experience or the Mexico experience or white people coming in. It's just a road movie that turns into a vampire film. And the vampirism turns Black people against one another again. So the metaphor is still working.
Right.
But they're also getting this just like there's so much pathos and like empathy and like emotion in the scenes when people start to die, when people start to give themselves over and they start to fight harder.
Yep.
There's just so much going on, and then when they cut to the kind of the regrouping scene with the vampires outside before they really come in, or well, I guess it's not before they come in, but like I guess it is. It's before the Let's Eat scene, and they're all dancing and kind of singing that Irish folk tune or folk song, and they're all dancing, and like Michael B. Jordan's out there like just fucking looking jacked as fuck and like dancing. Like there's so like all of them, and I don't forget the actor who's the main vampire.
Jack O'Connell.
Yes, Jack O'Connell. He's so good as well.
Yep.
And like so menacing and so I mean like just plays that role so perfectly. Like the acting is all superb. And this, I know it comes out early in the year. If this is not up for everything,
every single thing.
If this doesn't sweep, I can't imagine looking at the slate what's going to top this. And like, I know we've got a PTA film coming out. We just had Wes. I don't think Wes is going to really tick any boxes for anybody because it came and went too. And it's not anything new from Wes, really. It's not really. I mean, I could see Del Toro or his supporting actor or Sarah getting a nod. But I mean, like this should be like we should just be saying, why are we even having the award season? Sinners should win everything, right?
Well, and I said to you when we walked out of the theater, I'm like, I'm going to be hard pressed to see a better film this year,
right? Because because it literally has everything, and there hasn't been a film like this, and I don't know how long. Like there hasn't been like we've talked about perfect films before, but like that have also been art house films or like that's spoken perfectly to us.
Right.
This should be a film that if you're just not some blatant racist, should fucking knock your socks off.
Right. This is one of those like blockbuster type films that everyone goes to see. We talk and we can all take something different away from this film.
We talk about films that like today's films don't have any sort of longevity. No one talks about them after the first 3 years that they're out, kind of thing. This has to be one that we will be talking about on its 10th anniversary, its 20th anniversary.
Absolutely.
We should be watching this forever because it just stands up. It's so well constructed.
Well, here's the thing: like if you're going to talk about films like Avatar, I mean, as like innovative and like standing kind of this like test of time or whatever, if that's what you believe, then like this film needs to be in that same conversation.
Yeah,
because it is a mainstream film. It is a film for mainstream audiences, right? That just ticks every box that you want in a movie like this.
Right.
It's got action. It's got pathos. It's got a message. It looks amazing, right? It's got stuff for the technical nerds. It's just got it all.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're just a music lover, it's got it's got an incredible score and soundtrack.
If you're interested in black cinema,
right?
I mean, it's
And here's the thing: the conversation should never ever exist that says, "Why are they giving this much money to Coogler?
Ever again?
Why is Coogler getting to own his own films? Why are we questioning anything that he does?" I don't care if he has a flop or not. It should never be the case. We should be basically saying, "Here's a check. Write whatever you want on it, and make whatever film you want, and please do it in perpetuity. We will always be with you."
It's going to be really shitty if he does have a movie that doesn't like live up to expectations. I feel like he's just going to be pilloried for a moment, and that's going to be just again because he's a black man,
right? And he's so like he's so well versed in film. I mean, like the guy is a movie lover and a film lover's like wet dream when it comes to directors, because he is like a more technical and a more well-versed version of Tarantino.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I'm not saying he's making the same type of films, but he is that guy who's come up and is more educated, can speak better. Look, Tarantino, I don't think anyone can really come close to him in regards to film history and like, especially where he kind of plays.
But he also lets you know that.
Right.
Coogler doesn't.
Right.
Coogler doesn't. I mean, but I think like that's the big difference is that.
Right. I do think, yes. I mean, Tarantino grew up in the era of film snobbery where it was like, no one was watching the films that he was watching.
Right.
Yes. So he has a little bit of that era of like, I can do this better than you can. And I think it's gotten worse as the years have gone on.
And as he's gotten older.
Right. But you listen to Coogler and it's just pure cinema joy. Like it's just like, and his influences are all over the place, and he can talk for days about obviously also like specific cameras and angles. I mean, like, and the technical details of what sound equipment he used, et cetera, et cetera. But then also just talking about like how this scene mirrors this scene, or like how he loves this film, and it's across the board. It's so good. He's so much fun as a person. It's hard not to root for him. And but you don't even, taking all that away, this is just an amazing film, and really one like we haven't seen in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, as much as people like gush over Villeneuve, like, I don't like, you should be. I mean, like, I know like Coogler did Marvel, right? But Villeneuve is now. I mean, he's a franchise guy,
right?
I mean, yes, he's taken kind of quote unquote beloved franchises and beloved properties, but that doesn't make him any less than a franchise guy,
right? Right. And Coogler started with an independent,
right, with Fruitvale Station. Yeah.
And I guess for me, he's been one of the few guys who's been able to go from independent to this kind of franchise stuff, to these bigger budget films, but maintain a kind of like clarity in what he wants to say.
The only other guy is Nolan. The only other person that can compete with him right now is Nolan.
But I don't
even really like Nolan, so I don't think Nolan has it in him to make this film.
I don't know that Nolan's saying a whole lot. And
no, that's what I'm saying.
And not that like everything has to say something. I tend to find, a lot of films more interesting when you are trying to connect with the actual outside world, right? When you are trying to sort of like look through things a different way.
No one's done more for the short-term memory loss community than Nolan.
You're right. And I don't know how
So I don't know why you're discounting.
I don't know how I couldn't have brought that up. I apologize.
I don't know why you're discounting
to everyone in the short-term memory
social
community.
Responsibility.
So what were we talking about?
That's why you come to the Wilhelm, baby, is for those really, really well-timed jokes.
Yep, we got them all. Absolutely.
So yeah,
I mean, and just to touch on like the vampirism and how that kind of works as a metaphor. I mean, this idea of these executives, these vampires, these white guys who come in, and what they want is they want the cousin's music, right? They want their music, which I think is a wonderful sort of like nod to cultural appropriation, but also just like these guys are bloodsuckers, like literal bloodsuckers, right? And I mean, you can look at that as I mean, a big portion of the white community just wants to take, right? Just wants to take and not acknowledge,
and also so here's I think where the real courage in Coogler storytelling is that once the vampire's defeated, That's not the end of the story.
Right.
Right. The end of the story is the person that sold them the slaughterhouse that they put the juke joint in has intended all along to come back and rob them of their money, to basically kill them, you know, with impunity and steal their money. And little did they know that these guys are ex-military, ex-gangsters, and like Michael B. Jordan and Stack is not going to fuck around.
Right.
And so he's prepared. They know all this. They're smarter than all these guys, all these fucking backwoods, you know, Klansmen from is it in Louisiana?
Mississippi.
Or Mississippi, right. And he just fucking lays waste. And that so in a movie that is a vampire movie that we have, you know, had this huge moment where music kills the vampires, right? I mean, essentially, right? The guitar and the silver, I don't know what that part of the guitar is called, but that silver portion of the guitar and that type of guitar that has a silver spinny thing.
Because it's kind of like a dobro.
Right.
I mean...
I'm not a guitar player. So they smash it over the main vampire's head, and they all kind of vaporize.
And then the sun comes up, and they all like,
But...
they all burn.
But Stack is now having to deal with his brother being
a vampire.
Right, a vampire. Well, we think that he's dead, but spoiler alert,
he's not.
He's not dead. Neither is Haley. They've both been able to escape.
They hang out with Buddy Guy.
They hang out with Buddy Guy, which I'm all for Buddy Guy being in whatever movie Buddy Guy wants to be in. And I think that's a cool nod too.
And you know, he talks about going to Chicago. Right. And Buddy Guy is a Chicago institution.
Yes,
so that's great.
And so Stack goes back to almost realizing what's happening. He goes back to this, you know, I guess he never leaves, right? They just kind of pull up.
He stays. He knows.
He understands that he needs to go get his cache of weapons because these guys are coming back for him, and he just starts to fucking...
He just kills them all.
You know, I don't know what the gun is, but it's
like a big old Tommy. It's like a bigger like Tommy
it's like some sort of like 50 millimeter, like, you know, but like, it's badass.
It's a huge gun, but it looks small in Michael B. Jordan's hands.
Right. And like, if he's not nominated, again, what the fuck are we doing? Right. I mean, if he's not nominated and really doesn't win, what the fuck are we doing?
Right. I'm with you.
It's like I feel like this is one of those times where everyone should just decline their nominations and they like this.
This.
Like
we're
we appreciate this, but if I win, I'm giving it to him. I'm like, we're gonna like change the vote.
Yeah.
That's my only concern is I feel like this might be too much of a popcorn film to gather enough respect.
That's ridiculous.
But
I think that's ridiculous.
I do too. I mean, that's my only concern. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, I think this, like, I cannot imagine we see a better film. Like,
no.
And you know, I
haven't yet.
Right. And there is not, like, we talk about like how Tom Cruise is trying to, you know, save cinema single-handedly.
This is
a film that people should see in theaters, right? This is,
and they have been.
And they have been. Yeah, it's done well. So that's good. That's good. So
keep going, folks. And
so now we're outside of Texas theaters, so it's time to
go see more movies.
End our screening for a few hours, for a long set of hours.
Yeah, but then we'll be back for the ride home, part 2 of the last day of the Oak Cliff Film Festival. So so we'll talk to you then. Bye.
See you guys.
You have been listening to Why Does the Wilhelm Scream with your hosts, Brock and Jason. If you liked today's episode, do us a favor and rate, review, and subscribe in whatever application you use to consume podcasts these days. You can reach us by visiting whydoesthewilhelmscream.com. If you are in the DFW area, we would love to see you at a Fort Worth Film Club event. You can learn more about those and find a full schedule at fortworthfilmclub.com. And you can learn about my foundation and how we are trying to foster the next generation of film lovers at realhousefoundation.org. That's REEL housefoundation.org. Till next time.